This must be a really big thing that's trending because I've already seen a lot of people making videos on it.
Hi, what can I get for you today? Could I get the cheeseburger with no cheese, no patty, no sauce, no pickles, no buns, just the cheeseburger? I'm on a keto diet, so I really gotta cut all of that out. So, you want a nothing burger? No, I didn't say that. I said I wanted a cheeseburger with no cheese, no patty, no pickles, no sauce, no buns. A cheeseburger. Do the kids of today just not know how to make a cheeseburger?
It has come to my attention that millennials
Also, her
over
look
on
is
TikTok
amazing.
have coined the term Gen Z stare, which refers to a Gen
Okay, wait. So this is millennials who are talking about the Gen Z stare on TikTok.
Z not giving the same kind of southern hospitality as previous generations did at their job. For instance, millennials, Gen Xers, and so forth are upset that they aren't being greeted when entering into an establishment, as well as supposedly being met with a blank stare whenever they are to ask a Gen Z a question. Which it's kind of sounding like to me whenever I hear these millennials talk about Gen Z this and Gen Z that, it always comes across as though we are a different breed of people, when it's kind of just like, let's not forget that y'all are kind of like raising the youngest of Gen Z. This entire discourse is based on Gen Z being rude, socially inept, riddled with SSRIs, so therefore Gen Z employees are incapable of being good workers. Gen Z are incapable.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's just I'm not getting paid enough for this shit.
Of starting conversation because millennials are apparently being met with the stare. Now look, as a Gen Z myself, I am 23, I have never experienced this bullshit in my life because the problem with this discourse is the fact that nobody seems to be taking into account the 2 years myself and other Gen Zs globally were locked in their houses because we had a pandemic at hand to deal with. Yeah. I too struggle with my social skills at times because I was already very socially anxious before we
I gotta be real. Without even getting deeper into this video, this kind of feels like something millennials are just making up for TikTok. Like they're just trying to make another generational conflict TikTok trend.
Went into lockdown, and then going into lockdown took away my formative years where I should have been going out all the time doing shit. Now that's not to say that I'm just staring at people
Like, bro,
when they are trying
I'm bringing this up too because this shit is everywhere. Like the Gen Z stare, it's all over. Look at this. You Google Gen Z stare. There's a piece on NBC News, Business Insider, NPR, CNBC. There was something in the Times, Forbes magazine, Huffington Post. It's everywhere. Everyone's talking about this fucking Gen Z stare.
converse with me, but if you're gonna ask a stupid question, yeah, I'm gonna look at you like you're a dumbass too.
This is the Gen Z stare that I got when I went to Chipotle. I walk in, Gen Z.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay. To my fellow millennials, what do you want? Do you want to walk into Chipotle and some 18-year-old who's making like minimum wage goes, "Hey, welcome to Chipotle. What can I get ya? Would you like a bowl? Would you like a burrito? If you want guac, that costs extra." I'd like, do you want them to put on a show? I go in there and I'm probably like this. I'm like, can I have a burrito bowl? Can I have chicken? Can I have cheese? Lettuce? Pico. I'll do medium salsa. Yeah, I'll definitely do guac.
Can I get a bowl with beef, rice, beans, and guac?
Yeah, that was Will Neff's Broadway impersonation.
Our system is down, so we can't accept cards, only cash. I don't carry cash. Walks away.
And you wanted her to do...
Yeah, also this is just a young person working like a minimum wage job that they don't care about. Every generation does that. It's not a Gen Z thing. It's not, okay? When I was in high school, I would go to wherever, McDonald's, coffee shop, anywhere, and it'd be like people that I went to were in high school with me, or other teenagers would be like, "Hey, what's up? Yeah, what do you want?"
What exactly? I genuinely struggle to believe that the Chipotle employee was that egregiously rude. But like, she told you that the system was down. You said you don't carry cash, but the only payment that's available to make for your food is cash. Genuinely, like, what the is she supposed to do about that? I'm walking away too, because it's like, we're not having a staring contest at my job right now. Simply could have just said, oh, no worries, I'll cancel my order because I don't carry cash and there is no ATM around, so I'm just gonna go eat something.
If I'm working minimum wage in an industry I don't give a shit about, I will not be excited to see you. Hey, how are ya? How's it going? Ah, good. Ah, yeah.
Else. It almost sounds like you
everything's
wanted her to
great.
go above her pay grade and suddenly become an IT Bill
Everything's
Gates and
great.
fix the system. I'm gonna stare at you like a dickhead too, because what do you want me to do about it? I'm not even being paid a living wage at the moment, Suzanne. I'm just here to make the beans and cheese and guacamole and rice combos. Go elsewhere if you don't have cash. Like, I really just don't know what this woman here wanted the Chipotle employee to do. I get it. If that was actually genuinely real, which I don't think it was, because I just cannot imagine a Chipotle worker just being like, I'm just not going to talk to any of the customers, even though my job entirely...
The TikToker and YouTuber both come off as drama baiters, like nobody IRL is complaining about this. Well, I think the YouTuber is responding to the TikToks about it, but also, like, I saw this all over various news outlets. And so, yeah, I think a lot of times something that people are complaining about on the internet is not something that people are like necessarily complaining about off of the internet. I think this is another example of something that is trending on TikTok and is silly and ridiculous. But also I think there is something real beneath the surface here, which is I think kind of speaks to just maybe how younger people, first of all, are always going to behave in a sort of dead inside way when you're working in a job that you don't care about. I mean, not just young people, but like hard to fake enthusiasm, but also like the effects of COVID and the current state of the world, where a lot of young people feel really disillusioned about their futures and working jobs that they are not making a living wage from, and feeling like they just have not a future. So no, I wouldn't come for this YouTuber, first of all, because she's responding to the boatload of TikToks about this Gen Z stare. To be fair, I feel like everyone feels like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm a very social person and usually pretty friendly, and I've worked tons and tons of different types of jobs, and not all of them have I been like, When I worked corporate jobs, I more so felt I put on a good face, or like working for tips, I'd fake that shit.
It relies on this.
I also don't do the Gen Z versus millennial generation wars. I'm not about it. This is propaganda that I'm not falling for.
Okay, first of all, every time a Gen Zer comes on this app and they try to defend
Blasphemous crow.
themselves against the Gen Z
Thank you
stare,
for the 2
I actually
months.
think that they're millennials. I'm like, oh, it's another millennial talking crap on a Gen Zer. No. And then they go and they defend themselves on why they do the Gen Z stare, and I'm like, I actually thought they were millennials. They literally look our age. Okay, but that's not the point. This is the point.
Y'all are so obsessed with us, and it shows. You look your age, I look my age.
Yo, are you taking any Hassan refugees like me? Okay, this is a very funny thing to me. If I don't put Hassan refugees in my title, do people not think that they're welcome in here? I don't know. I'm a boomer. I don't know how this works. So if I don't put that in the title, it means get the fuck out. It means you ain't welcome. It's in the TOS. Yeah.
That's the end of that. Like, just starting off this video already with saying...
Also, I just have to say, I will never put Hassan refugees in my title. But you know what? If you like what I'm doing here, if you align with the things that I believe in, and you like the content, you're welcome in.
That kind of shit gives me the idea that she already has something against Gen Z to begin with.
Okay. We're not talking about the Gen Z stare when somebody says something stupid and then you look at them like, what? Okay, no, we're not. You guys are not the first people to do that. My freaking dog does that, okay? Dog does that, okay?
The condescendingness so far is a little like, I don't know why she's acting as though we're incompetent little babies who cannot understand the basic concept of people from the dawn of time staring into somebody's face like, what the f did you just say, you absolute head? Yeah, there's cheese on this cheeseburger. Why did you ask if there's cheese on the cheeseburger? Obviously that isn't unique to only Gen Z, and I truly don't think that there are any Gen Zs out there acting like that, babe. But what we can acknowledge is the fact that older generations are presenting to be a little numb in the skull sometimes.
Look at this owl. He's beautiful. It's a Norwegian giant owl.
And that may be in part due to the rise of people actively using AI, because the amount of times that I have been waiting for food, whether that be sushi
I gotta be so for real too. I feel like people who try and fabricate these battles between millennials and Gen Z, I feel like they're ops. I don't trust them. You know, these generational wars. It's like, I don't want to fight with Gen Z. I'm not looking to smack down on Gen Z. I mean, look, are there things about individual generations that are definitely unique to us, and I think can merit some humorous discussion? Totally. For older generations, maybe less humorous, yes. But I'm just like not into looking at Gen Z as my enemy. It's like, oh, look at this annoying thing. Also just monolithing Gen Z, being like, I had an experience with an annoying 20-year-old. It's like, yeah, 20-year-olds can be very annoying. Doesn't matter of which. It's not like these are things that only happened with Generation Z. Generalizing any generation is crazy. This also does kind of feel like a clapback to the millennial pause. where Gen Z was like making fun of the millennial pause, which is funny. And that totally is something that I do. Okay, but literally I refuse to do generation fighting. It's so stupid. Yeah, I mean, not to get all serious about it, but it's like my enemy is not Gen Z. And Gen Z's enemy is not me, a millennial.
Whatever. And I have heard, does this tuna sushi roll have tuna in it? Yeah.
And like, I will always have a lot of empathy for the younger generations, especially, you know, COVID wasn't good for anybody, isn't good for anybody. The lockdown, I mean, specifically. But I just think about like the impact that had on younger people. And, you know, I was 28, I think. I think I was 28 during that year of the pandemic, lockdown, etc. And I just think about people who were like in college, who missed a couple of years, you know, who were in high school. Ugh. Yeah, I want to see their material conditions. I also, it's a whole idea of like, we want to make the world better for the generations to come. You know, I want things to be better for younger generations than they were when I was growing up. You know, it's like one thing I do all the time is I talk a lot about issues such as consent, right? When I cover abuse cases in Hollywood, we have these conversations where I talk all the time about like when I was growing up, this was really not existent, and how I see younger people having these conversations and this awareness and this language and these understandings in a way that I didn't. And that's a good thing. Like, and then I look at my mom and it's even worse. And so it's like we are trying to achieve progress for ourselves, but to make it better for the generations to come. So yeah, I mean, there are things that people who belong to certain generations do that are awful and annoying, but it's not something where I'm like, oh man, fucking Gen Z. I just completely writing off like Gen Z as a whole. Yes, they didn't experience Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, so I'll always have empathy for them. So true, Josh.
Problem is the entitlement to an over-the-top social
And also, like, my anger is reserved for, look, I also am not all fuck old people. There's a lot of old people who are struggling too. But when I look at who's in power, when I look at who has been running things for a long time, like, yeah, I'm reserving my anger towards them.
fraction whenever you're to enter a restaurant, more specifically a fast food joint. Most fast food places tend to hire young employees as they're more likely willing to accept being paid less than minimum wage at certain establishments. Sorry, the red carpet isn't being rolled out whenever you're to walk into a Wendy's. There's not going to be a song and dance whenever you're to get your side of lunch. I love me some hot gruel in a bag too, trust me. ooh. But I don't expect tired, underpaid, overwhelmed 16, 17, 18-year-olds to be so chipper when they see me at the drive-through window.
I want a song
now, like
and
I
dance.
said before, I have never been met with these dumb blank stares that millennials over on TikTok are talking about. But say that was to happen, I would just be like, is this person okay? Like, this isn't really unique to only Gen Z. I think what's happening here is millennials are becoming much like their parents and are stereotyping the younger generations. The oldest Gen Z is 27. So it would make no sense that grown-ass adults are just staring at you when you're to try and ask them a question. I don't think the Gen Z stare is a thing. I genuinely think that these millennials are just finding another way to hate on Gen Z.
We're talking about, this happened to me the other day at the mall, okay? Excuse me, can I get this in a size 6, please?
Like, honestly, you're the one who's annoying. Okay, you are fucking annoying. This girl on the right. This is embarrassing. Frankly, I'm going to finish this video, but I've seen enough. Like, this is just embarrassing. Who gives a fuck?
I know it's a little loud in here. I don't think you heard me. Can I get this in a size 6, please?
Like, you're being rude. You're actually the person. You know what this is, too? Okay. This comes down to how people treat service workers. Truly, there is this like attitude and expectation for service workers that frankly is just it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. What do you want? Who cares? My God. Have you ever worked in a dead-end service job? I have. They fucking suck. Working in retail? Horrifying. Retail is such an awful, awful job because the people who come in, the customers, are so shitty. It's soul draining. Customers in retail are awful. Where's that guy when you need him? You know who I'm talking about, the then die. That guy. The way people are so entitled, so fucking entitled, insufferable. Oh, he posted one. Oh, I have to see it. Please. The IKEA guy. Yes. Yeah. Seriously, retail workers are some of the strongest soldiers. They're stronger than the military. I gotta be honest too. I do think that this is a very American attitude, right? The attitude that we have towards service workers. The Gen Z stare is the biggest issue in the workplace right now.
Stare is the biggest issue in the workplace right now. No, it's still low pay. I've heard so many definitions of the Gen Z stare online. At this point, it just means how someone looks that you don't like. Hey, that guy's giving me the Gen Z stare. That's an 80-year-old man. Yeah, he's an iPad kid. If a customer gives you the Gen Z stare, just consider that quiet moment an extra break. And if an employee gives you the Gen Z stare, understand they're just taking a moment of silence to mourn the possibility of ever retiring. Next, it'll be the biggest issue facing workplaces today is the Gen Z breathing process. Apparently, young people's bodies prioritize oxygen over customer turnover rate. Think of the economy! The Gen Z stare is the biggest issue in the workplace right now. No, it's still low pay.
It's still low pay. Oh my God, I fucking love this guy. I think a lot of good customers who've never worked retail or service think that we just reset after every customer and they're like, well, why are you already mad when they walk in at hour 6 of your shift? Oh my God. What's your problem? I've worked as a front desk concierge. I have as well. And I worked at a very fancy building. It was horrible. Believe me, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. When I was working at Best Buy, this old guy was asking me for an HDMI cable. I gave him a $15 cord. He wanted to fist fight me because he wanted a $150 diamond cord. Like, I was trying to save you money. I'll never forget, I was working at Trader Joe's at the beginning of the pandemic, first week of mask mandates in New York, and I was wearing my mask at the register. A lady looked at me and goes, "Why are you wearing a mask? Are you a pussy?" And then spit on the floor. Awesome. Yeah. Here's the thing about working in the service industry. You will always, always have horrible interactions with people, especially, I swear, in America because of the entitlement. Because even when it's not a job that like you get tips in, there is still this like, you owe me. Like, I am your lead. I am your overlord. You're not seen as a human being. I know. And the thing is too, when I go into a place, like if I'm going in to shop somewhere, I kind of want to be left alone. I actually prefer someone who's just like, hey. I'm like, hey. They're like, if you need anything, let me know. I'm like, great. Because I like to just be on my own. I don't need to have a convo and like have you circling around me, ensuring that every need of mine is taken care of. Like, I'm just trying to see if these jeans fit. And I fucking hate trying on jeans. Like, I'm not happy being here. I am not happy being here trying on these jeans. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you have obviously worked in service jobs that you have many examples of customers being horrible. Truly. Yeah, retail especially, my God. Oh my God. There's an overall, like, working in a service job, you will just deal with a bunch of shit, but then there are within the service industry certain fields that it's just some of the worst horror stories. I've bullied so many customers though. Yeah, like this woman, if that's actually how she behaves, she should be bullied.
This didn't happen. Like, I hate to be one of those people, and it's not that I'm going to bat for my fellow generation or because I'm Gen Z myself. I genuinely do not believe this is happening. I just don't. And if this is happening, you're probably dealing with teenagers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll go get it.
To some extent, I do find this hard to believe that this is actually happening on a large scale, because even when I have interacted with the youngest of Gen Zs in the workforce, I've never been met with this. It's leading me to believe that this might just be an American thing. And because
That's what I just
don't
said.
live in America, contrary to popular belief, no, I
Because I don't believe in America.
do not live in America. This TikToker was right, and the employee couldn't hear her.
Oh,
over
she said because I don't live. I thought she said I don't believe in America. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny.
the loud ass music in the store, because I swear, you go into any retail store at the moment and they are blasting music to the point where you can't even hear your own critical thoughts. Should I buy this? Would this actually look good on me? And that's probably why we impulse buy a lot. I mean, not me.
I'm like, that's weird. That was really weird. That's odd. Okay, and it's not, and not only that, okay, but listen, it's not just the millennials that notice it, okay? It's the Gen Alpha that notices it. It's the kids that are younger than you, the ones underneath you guys, okay? They notice it too. So we saw some Gen Zers the other day, and they were riding their electric scooters, okay? They're the older gen, they're not kids, because I wouldn't talk crap on kids, but they're older generation, and they're riding their electric scooters, okay?
This nobody wants to work anymore bullshit. No one wants to get off their asses and work.
And the whole time, and my daughter like sees them riding on by, and
Stupid.
my 10-year-old waves. Okay, this is them.
This may
Okay, well, if that did happen, it's probably because your daughter has fucked vibes because you are the mother. But also, no. Alex, give me didn't happen for 100. Because the thing that the internet does, all right, here's what the internet does. It encourages people to just make shit up, right? Or to just totally exaggerate things, especially when something's a trend and people want to get in on it. So be like, oh yeah, no, I totally know what that is. One time I went into my nail salon and they were like, hey, how can I help you? But not in good English. So I was like, hello? Can you speak English? This is America. And then I left 0 stars on Yelp. Because, okay, a lot of things. There are many annoying customers, people who are just entitled and rude, but also the internet, which makes people run to the internet and be like, hey, I'm gonna like make something that was not a thing, but also I'm going to end up looking like an asshole here.
Make me sound like a cunt right now, but I'm not waving back to your daughter either. I'm just not. And it's not because I absolutely hate kids and I'm the Grinch and I just want to make kids cry. Yeah, hate kids. Disgusting. No. I don't know the kid. I am also on a potentially life-threatening vehicle, which if I stop to give a cute little wave, boom, a car hits me, and now, because I'm in America, I have hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars in hospital fees in which I can't pay because the government is absolute shite and they really don't want anybody to be winning in life. It's almost like
I think it's fair to say COVID broke people's brains and people are less polite now, but it's not a generational thing. Right. Like, I think the stupidity of this is trying to act as if Gen Z is uniquely rude and ungrateful, as like just ascribing these things to specifically Gen Z because they are the youth. Like, obviously there's Gen Alpha that's younger, but like when it comes to people in their 20s, right? Teenagers and people in their 20s, it's Gen Z. Yeah. Also, if you're riding a scooter, you should be using two hands. Like, I get the fucking Gen Z stare from boomers at the fucking card as the card reader's beeping and they just look at me. It's not a generational thing. Yeah, I think you can apply this stare to every generation.
I was expecting this Gen Z to put their scooter down, wave to the girl, say hi, high five, love you, kid. The entitlement that you're modeling here to your Gen Alpha daughter is going to prove to be bad in the future, because she also has to understand that not everybody in this world is willing or wanting to interact with you. I know that may be a hot take and a little bit controversial because it sounds antisocial. I am a very no-nonsense person. I just want to get in and out of places. Like, if I am in the middle of Woolies, I don't want to be speaking to you for an entire 20 minutes when I have all this stuff I need to get done in a day. And it's not even just that. It's not even me just being selfish. I just simply don't want to talk. This isn't my environment. People are so rude when you want to just go about your day. Like, I don't know, man, you want to make friends, go to a bar, go to a club. I'm almost on my period and I want my cheese and bacon shapes and I want my caramello koalas. Go away. That's not to give an okay to people by any means whatsoever. To go ahead and be a to everybody every single day. That would just be shitty. But all I am hearing so far is seething with envy for Gen Z. For what exactly?
Yeah, Jaina, how has my generation lived through 30 years of being accused of killing literally everything in society and turned around to start beef with Zoomers on TikTok?
I don't know.
The whole time, they made eye contact. And my daughter's like, did they not see me? I'm like, oh yeah, they saw you. So anyways, I'm not trying to be mean by saying these things to you guys. I actually genuinely am just so sick and tired of going out in public and asking a question and you guys being like,
well, your questions are probably fucking stupid,
you
okay?
Guys, you gotta get your stuff together, okay?
You gotta shut the up and stop obsessing over Gen Z. I have been seeing so many videos on my For You page over the past couple of days of millennials being like,
okay, well, then don't go in public anymore. All right, ain't nobody want you in public.
Well, Gen Z can't take what they dish. I'm not dishing anything to any of these generations. In fact, a lot of y'all just want to argue for the sake of arguing, even if it is over something that isn't happening. I don't doubt for a second that a lot of the experiences over on TikTok that are being spoken of, you know, with the whole Gen Z stare or a blank stare whenever you're to ask a Gen Zer a question, I just feel like...
You know what? As a millennial, I am now going to start doing the Gen Z stare in solidarity.
A lot of this is exaggerated with some of the language that is being presented in these videos because it already sounds biased. It already sounds like it is chipping away at being negative and hateful. And it's feeding into those stereotypes that young people are just stupid and they're slow and they can't do anything. I mean, I can't vouch that this TikToker's stories are real, of course, but maybe we should just stop assuming so much about our daily social interactions. I think with social media, we tend to really overthink things to an absolute extreme. Like, what if that employee that you're asking for a size 6 from is scrolling through their memory bank and is like, wait a second, I remember putting size 6s out a couple of days ago. Where have they gone? Are they all sold out? I don't think we have too many in the back. And meanwhile, it's just... It is quite concerning, though, how many Gen Zers...
Yeah, I mean, that's the point I was making about the internet as well, where it just makes people... It makes people act annoying. Like, make an issue out of something that's not. Like, people just want attention. Everyone just wants fucking attention. And so they'll go online and do whatever to get attention and make a mountain out of a molehill.
Over on TikTok attest to this happening, even sharing their own stories of how people really act that then warrants the blank stare.
Hi, welcome in. How is everyone tonight? Can I get you started with something to drink? Do you need a minute? I can give you a minute. Take your time.
I do think to a certain extent, some of these experiences that are being displayed over on TikTok are largely due to the fact that there are a portion of young Gen Zers who partake in the nonchalance activities. That is not showing emotions because it's cringe. Everything is cringe, so I'm just gonna look at you like you're stupid. But it isn't a collective thing. It isn't something that all Gen Zers possess, because whenever we talk about, say, Gen Alpha here on this channel, it's not all that Gen Alpha iPad kids riddled with TikTok-itis and can't think and can't speak and are just like, I don't have an iPad, I'm gonna throw a tantrum in the middle of this Applebee's. There's nuance to these conversations, of course. But in all seriousness, this is a phenomenon that may also be happening due to stunted social skills that can be attributed to lockdown. Here in Melbourne, Australia, in 2021, we first went into lockdown in March. That ended in May. Then in the same year, we went back into lockdown from July to October. That's over 100 days. And then it doesn't just stop there, because in 2021, there were even more lockdowns. If you were in Australia, you were considered to be under the harshest, strictest lockdowns, especially here in Melbourne, Victoria. In 2020, I was 18 years old. When we left lockdowns, I was nearing on 21. I don't like to talk about these experiences so much because it really brought on a lot of agoraphobia, something that I have never experienced in my life prior to lockdowns. And I can say today, I am doing a lot better, like a lot better. Sometimes I can get these triggers that come up and I'm just like, you know, I don't want to leave the house, period. This feels like I am being closed in on and swallowed up by the earth whole. And I obviously had anxiety issues before lockdowns, but again, it really increased those issues for me because I was between four walls all day, every single day. Like, I don't think people remember how bad the restrictions were. You weren't allowed to go to the grocery store. One person of each household was able to go to the grocery store. It wasn't everybody. There was only 1 hour of exercise time. So you couldn't go outside of your house for 23 hours a day. You were a prisoner. Now, we did that work.
Yeah, she agrees about the social skills thing. And I am not disagreeing with that either. Like the impact that that lockdown and other just the way that yes, like, okay, the disappearance of third spaces, the way that a lot of people now interact only over the internet. Like, this is something that's had an effect on people, not just in Gen Z, but of course, like for those who were still in an developing stage, being affected by lockdown, by COVID, was going to have potentially stronger effects. And it's I think this issue with socializing, with being potentially socially underdeveloped, struggling to like function in any type of social setting. I don't think that that's the fucking Gen Z stare. Also, she's doing the Gen Z stare right now. I have not watched Eddington yet, but I will be watching it. Lockdown messed me up when I was 25 during it. I feel bad for people younger than me. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, where I was like, it had an effect on me. I mean, I remember like the first year after lockdown, and how I really struggled initially with returning to socializing. And I'm a person who like is very naturally social. So I can only imagine how it was for people who already had social anxiety and for people who were younger. But anyway, that to me is a different issue than some dumbasses on TikTok complaining about service workers not being friendly enough.
Of course, for the greater good, but it still doesn't take away from how much damage people are still living with till this day. And the fact I'm seeing no empathy and it's just bullying and making fun of Gen Z, and I can imagine that a lot of these Gen Zers who are presenting behaviors of the Gen Z stare are struggling a bit. And I hate that we're just looking at people and assuming what kind of person they are. I don't think that that is healthy for anybody involved. I think in the service industry, it is a lot different because they're dealing with such heavy shit all day, every day, such as the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis, or rental crisis rather, and a plethora of world issues that we feel so helpless to. We're hyper aware about the problems around us 24/7. I mean, forgive people for giving you a little bit of a look and taking some time to process what you're saying, because everybody's acting.
Bro, I even experienced the like feeling awkward in social situations when I first started streaming, when I was like really grinding out streaming, and I was not hanging around people, going out like I used to. And when I started to do that again, it was like I could feel the difference in me, because I had been spending so much time just streaming, being on the internet. Like those social skills had atrophied. Sure, but you were natural with streaming. Oh, thanks. But I mean, like, I remember when I saw my friends who, like my nightclub friends, for the first time after I'd started streaming, and I was just kind of like, it felt strange. My bestie's a streamer, and at my barbecue, she literally said, "Bye, chat." Oh no. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. She's too deep.
Like there is a deadline to when you should respond to somebody. Now, for me, Because I am neurotypical, I respond to people very fast if we're talking in person or on the phone. Like, I don't struggle to answer questions. I don't struggle to talk at all. I'm perfectly capable and able in that instance. But there is just something about this entire topic that just doesn't feel right, you know? And you're upset because you're getting a stare that isn't just unique for Gen Z. Like that TikToker just said for herself. Everyone does that, even her dog. The majority of us went through a global pandemic at the time we were.
Wait, is chat like a term that people just use all the time now? Because I, as a streamer, don't even use it that often. Chat has always felt like it's always felt it's always felt impersonal to me. Like, I actually don't really love referring to you all as chat. Like, to me it kind of takes away like the individuality. I don't know. I think it's a me thing. Chat, is this real? So I didn't even know that people were really using that outside of being streamers, referring to your chat. We're a hive mind. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I use it sometimes, but it was never a thing that like I naturally have felt I acquired, like that I added into my vocabulary. I'm not even a streamer, but sometimes I call my brain chat. Like, Kai is a person who's always saying chat, 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 chat. Listen, chat, 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 chat. Oh my God. Flunky. Flunkerino. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. My oh my. Be-do-do-do-do. Using the term chat and chatter are how you can monitor the progression of Twitch brain rot. Yeah, I don't, and I also don't like chatter. I'll use it sometimes if I can't find who it was. I'll say that. A lot of times I say that person, though. Like, well, that person said. I don't know. I think it's one of those, it's a very specific me thing because I am how I am and I started streaming at 30 and there's just still some things that I just have not naturally I haven't become accustomed to. Chat creates a sense of do you all like chat? Does everyone like the term chat? I mean, a lot of people use it. I think it's fun to say chat. No. Yeah, okay. I guess neutral on it. Could you call me Sweetie Ken? Sweetie OPD? Anyway, I don't think it's like this major thing, but I think it's a personal preference, and I think it was popularized because Kai uses chat all the time. Like, every clip I see of him constantly, chat, chat, chat. No, listen, chat, chat, chat. Yo, chat, chat. Anyway. I would like to be called hey, handsome.
Supposed to learn critical social skills. As workers, you treat us like we're incompetent. As customers, you treat us as if we're going to be rude before we even open our mouths. You infantilize the majority of us while still viewing us as adults when it's convenient. The majority...
I think too, when you're a bigger streamer, when your chat is flying by so fast, I think it maybe makes more sense. Where I think with smaller streamers, where it just kind of feels more intimate, more personal in the stream, it feels like you just want a different word.
Gen Z was raised by older millennials, and you're the ones creating iPad kids. Just yes, Yeah, my parents, though, are actually younger Gen Xers, and I think that a large portion of Gen Z's parents are too Gen Xers, you know? The problem millennials
Wait,
seem
SZA
to
has a
have
song called
here
30 for 30
are
where she
that
says
they're
chat.
being stared at when A, asking stupid questions, B, not waving to a kid
She's a
because you
streamer.
could be in a
She's a
potentially
streamer.
life-threatening situation if you're to take one hand off the damn scooter and not wave back to a kid. They'll live. I think that it can be perceived as rude if you are to blankly stare at somebody when they're trying to talk to you, because some people are taking this entirely the wrong way. You know, it's not that people feel entitled to speak to you, it's just that if you're working at a service job where you're providing service to people, you should probably answer their questions no matter how dumb they are. And if it's really as dumb as, you know, I saw this one TikTok where this girl was like, oh, my customers asked if there was a banana in the strawberry banana smoothie. Yeah, I mean, that's gonna warrant a, what the fuck? Yes, there are bananas in strawberry and banana smoothies.
Hi, how are you? Can I get a kid's cheeseburger Happy Meal with no onions? My daughter has like this weird onion allergy, so I just want to make sure those aren't on there. And a Sprite to drink, please.
Also, you know what? If I'm working at a fast food place, I'm probably ripping marijuana. I'm probably stoned. All right. So maybe it's not the Gen Z stare. Maybe it's the I'm stoned because this job sucks. I'm ripping marijuana. Just check the fuck out. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not being rude because you're Gen Z. It's you're just high. Yeah, you know, all these people making videos aren't ordering things as nicely as they do. Right, like this didn't happen this way. I'm ripping bongs. I'm giving myself permission to rip a bong.
Okay. So do I pay now, or can I just tap my card right here?
Now, this example right here is why I'm more inclined to say that I genuinely don't think that this is a real thing. I don't. It is sounding and looking so f***ing bitter. If the Gen Z stare is such a genuine thing, why don't I have it? Well, like, I believe not to, you know, put many fingers and thumbs up my own ass, but I believe I have a pretty expressive face. And I also believe that I am a very assertive, attentive person to whenever somebody is needing help with something or they don't know the answer to the question.
Well, now you can pay over time for your burger and fries.
They ask me.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm
fast
making too
food
many
stare.
concessions here for these Gen Zers who are presenting the Gen Z stare, but like, what if bro showed up to work absolutely high as f***? There are so many times where I've gone to fast food places, even though weed is not legal here in Australia and people are just stoned out of their minds. Or maybe the more realistic thing, bro has a headset in his ear trying to listen to you and the other employees.
Hi, my name is Matt.
through
Yo, thank you for the prime.
headset.
X
Or
Rhetoric,
earpiece.
thank you
This
for the
is
prime.
not Fortnite. What? Like, you asked for no onions on a burger from a place where there are
Again, not a pre-watch, just lived experience. Oh, you're telling me that someone at a fast food restaurant was looking at you like this? It's called weed. It's called maybe being stoned. Just can I get a number 5? It's called the weed stare.
so many traces of onions and employees who sometimes don't give a damn what they put on a burger. How many times have I been through the drive-thru with my partner and he's one of those like pickle haters, absolutely just give me all them pickles. But he's like, can I get no pickles on the burger? And you get the burger, and what do you know? There's 6 pickles on the damn thing. The employee is probably looking at you confused, like, why are you getting a burger with no onions because your daughter has an allergy from a place that is absolutely riddled with onions? Could there be a lawsuit on my hands? Because if there are traces of onions in the burger and your daughter happens to have a very severe reaction to it, what's going to happen to me? It's just like, sometimes in life, there are so many things going through a person's mind.
I told my coworker to meet me in my office. Hey, we have a meeting in the office. We just go in the back room and rip the... Yes.
When you are talking to them, sometimes there just isn't a deadline when you're talking to somebody to get a response back. I completely understand that if some of these
the boss
TikToks
needs
are
to see ya.
genuine and in the circumstances that they are presenting actual realistic examples, I'm gonna stand on my business and I'm still going to say everything that I've said in this video up until this point. There is obviously an aspect of shaky social skills that could explain this Gen Z stare, but I also think for a great deal of it, it's people who are being met with dumb and then giving back dumb. I think that this entire thing is really stupid to begin with, and I can't believe that I am sat here making a video about
thank you for the
the
gifted.
Gen Z stare. Call it bias, say, I don't live in a particular part of the world that has this behavior presented 24/7. That all being said though, I do think to a certain extent there is some truth there being a problem with a portion of young Gen Zers, the youngest of them, wanting to be nonchalant so bad that they are being rude as to anybody who tries to talk to them. There is this massive culture within younger generations who genuinely think that presenting any sort of emotion, saying more than one word, being not dry for once in their life when talking to another living, breathing individual is somehow cringe. Oh, you're pushing 20. Why are you trying to ask me a question? I don't know anything. That all being said as well, I have never met a Gen Z adult who is staring at me blankly in the face like their brains are malfunctioning from the incessant doom scrolling. I just want to make this very clear that this is just my thoughts and opinions. There are so many times where I make videos here on my channel where I say things that I believe in, and then people will come at me like I'm trying to give the right opinion. No, there are probably so many of you who completely disagree with this video.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to start using that for these fucking phase guys who, God forbid, they meet a woman who's 30. I'm going to be like, you're like pushing 22, huh?
And I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Yikes. So if you've got any, let's start that conversation down in the comments section below, because maybe you have had opposing experiences to mine, and maybe opposing opinions at that too. Thank you so much for joining me again.
What's crazy is that when I was looking at YouTube videos about this, there was one that was an hour. An hour on the Gen Z stare. I do appreciate though that she was like, I can't believe I'm making a video on this, but it is also funny to like make a 27. Good points were made.